Hey everybody. So today we are going to take a little bit of notes. We're going to finally put everything we've been learning together to make some graphs. So today you may want to go ahead and get out your graph paper that I sent home with you. Hopefully you still have that. If not, you'll just have to sketch out your own graph paper. But we're going to look at if we find all these characteristics that we've been looking at individually and put it together, then how do we make a graph? So for this first video, I'm going to go through the steps and one example, and then I'm going to post a second video of extra examples for anyone who feels like they need some extra examples. Alright, so as far as our steps go, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to find and plot your vertex. Second thing is you're going to draw in the axis of symmetry. Now this is something we haven't talked about yet. So what that is that's just a vertical line, verticals like this, through the vertex. And that's going to help us find extra points on our graph. And I'll show you as we go through that. Then you're going to find and plot your y-intercept. And its mirror image using the axis of symmetry. Which I'll show you an example. Then you're going to find and plot your x-intercepts. And then you're going to draw your parabola, which should look like a U or an upside down U. Alright, so our first example, we have f of x equals x squared plus 6x plus 8. So the first thing we're going to do is find that vertex. So to find the x value, we do negative b over 2a. So let's go ahead and identify a, b, and c. So a is 1, b is 6, and c is 8. So when I do negative b over 2a, that's going to be negative 6 over 2 times 1. Negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. Then to find my y value, I plug in negative 3. Please make sure you're putting it in parentheses. And then I'm going to work that out. And that should give you negative 1. So your vertex is negative 3, negative 1. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to plot that. So I'm going to grab a sheet of graph paper here. So I go to negative 3, negative 1. And that's my vertex. Now the second step said to draw in the axis of symmetry, which is a vertical line through the vertex. And I usually draw that in as a dotted line because it's not part of the parabola, but it helps me. Anything that I have a point on this side will have a mirror image on the other side of that line. Then our next step is to find the y-intercept, which is just 0c, and c is 8. So I go to my graph, and I go to 0, 8. And then I'm going to draw it and its mirror image. So this is 3 blocks away from that line on the right. So I go 3 blocks away on the left and draw its mirror image. Alright, then I'm going to find my x-intercepts doing quadratic formula. So I do negative b plus or minus Square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. I'll pull up Desmos so we can take a look again at how you put that in there. Some of y'all are still leaving out your parentheses or not putting everything in the fraction. So I put -6 to divide, and then I want to go back up there and put plus square root. Oh, see what happened? I went over too far and that square root's not in the numerator. So I'm going to delete that off and I want to go back up there in the numerator and make sure it stays all up there. So parentheses 6 squared minus 4 parentheses a and then c all over 2 times a. And so I get -4. So one answer is -4, 0. And then the other, I just go back and change that to a minus. And I get -2. So -2, 0. So I go back to my graph paper. And I graph -4, 0. -2, 0, and then my last step is to draw in my parabola. Remember, it looks like a U and not an X. And so there's my graph. So when you graph these, I expect to see these 5 points. So I'm going to post another video that's got a couple more of these examples, if you would like to watch that, if you feel like you need it. And then a couple of things of practice. Hopefully you still have this graph paper. If not, like I said, you'll have to just sketch out your own graph paper. Have a good day. Bye.